Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. John Schneider can't stop making terrible decisions. But how did Addison Barger's first game go as a Toronto Blue Jay? We'll get into all that and more coming up.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store and Google Play. We cannot thank you guys enough, all of our listeners, all of our commenters, all of our subscribers, our followers on everything. We just found out, Carter, that we, in the past 30 days, have been the number one Blue Jays podcast, and we cannot thank all of you guys enough. It has been just an absolute, I don't want to say dream, but dream come true to cover this team and be able to talk about it with a bunch of fans. It has been just electric, the amount of people commenting and supporting our channel and watching us. And yeah, we hope you guys are enjoying as much as we are. Carter, number one, how does it feel?
Yeah, it's a blessing to have this platform to be able to just share some Blue Jays opinions and debates with some other people from everywhere. Honestly, we got some Canada listeners. We have some listeners from the States, a couple from Europe as well. I think mainly the UK in Europe. But yeah, it's just fun to see a bunch of people come together and tear their hair out just watching Toronto Blue Jays play baseball. It seems like every day.
Well, and you know what? We gotta sort of say we do know we are one of the only podcasts that do daily. And that might make some other people very upset, but, won't name names, but it is fun. And we have a blast. Honestly, it's like a relief to be able to hop on here after every game pretty much and vent, I want to say, because sometimes I need that. Today's game, I mean, there was a lot of questionable stuff. The Blue Jays lose 3-2 against the Royals, and it was just interesting, Carter. But I don't want to start with that. I want to start with what everybody is hoping is a positive, and that's Addison Barger coming up to play his first game as a Toronto Blue Jay. How do you feel about his first game, Carter?
Yeah, obviously we got some huge news this morning. Addison Barger being sent up to the Toronto Blue Jays. And it's an interesting feat because he's usually playing the infield, but with a Kevin Kiermaier injury, it looks like he has a left hip flexor inflammation. So just obviously some swelling in his hip. It sounds like he's going to be out for around 10 days, but it's Kevin Kiermaier. He is a little bit injury prone. It might be more safe to err on the caution side for that. So Addison Barger, instead of starting at third base, instead of starting at second base shortstop, they throw him in left field. I don't know if I like that necessarily. I love having his bat in the lineup because he has been absolutely raking in AAA. So I'm pretty sure this is the reason why they called him up as part of, obviously, his Kevin Kiermaier injury. But he is hitting .314 with 3 home runs, 21 RBI, which is in sole possession of second in the league. An OPS of 1,021, and coming off of spring training where he hit .444 with a 1,157 OPS. Again, spring training stats don't matter, but in this case, it does translate to his AAA start. Addison Barger, it's a nice bat to have in the lineup. I'm never going to complain about power. I've said it multiple times. Definitely going to sacrifice the defense for a power bat. But I kind of said this in the offseason. If we had an injury in this outfield, we didn't even necessarily have 3 outfielders that I was confident in. I'm going to be honest with Kevin Kiermaier. Now Kevin Kiermaier is down. Now who do you have out there? You have Addison Barger go out there today. Obviously not his home. You can tell he was not very comfortable out there. You have David Schneider, who actually has looked pretty good in left field, but again, not a guy that is supposed to be playing in the field, a guy that has played the majority of his time at second base. So that was an interesting situation for me as a guy who's covering this team all the time. Just seemed like a huge hole we had that was never addressed. But Addison Barger, screw the defense. Let's get that power bat in there. And he almost did it in the first inning of the game, actually. Obviously, he hit 8th in the order today in the game. And his first at bat, he almost got all of it. He sent the ball 397 to straightaway center, exit velocity of 105, launch angle of 32 degrees. Pretty much everything you could ask for, but the Royals do have a deep park, unfortunately. Pretty far porch there in center field. Can't blast that one out. But Braden, how do you feel about Addison Barger being called up, and where do you see him kind of fitting in this Toronto Blue Jays lineup?
Well, it's so tough, right? We always talk about the good thing with this team is that we have a lot of those utility guys, right? Do I necessarily think that he is going to be, with Kevin Kiermaier, an everyday outfielder for us? No. I think Davis Schneider will take quite a few reps out there as well. I don't necessarily want to see him there. I feel like we could have thrown Biggio out there or Davis and put him in the infield. But overall, I mean, I really like seeing him. He looks like a ball player out there. I mean, honestly, probably the most on this team. If you just had to pick a specific look for a ball player, that's Addison Barger. He looks the part. It's going to be interesting if he can play the part, though, because as good as you can do in AAA, this is the major leagues. It's different. So we'll have to see how we can continue going forward. I mean, obviously 0 for 4. Again, I'm not a stats guy, but and that's why I don't look at this, because if you watch the game, you saw he had some decent at bats. He looked pretty good. So I really was okay with his game today. Yeah, it didn't look the most comfortable in the field, but wasn't horrible. But I'd like to see him get some infield time as well.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate for Barger on his first fly ball of his MLB career. It's a slicer off a left-handed bat. The wind is also blowing out towards the wall. Barger takes a couple steps in, and as you know, as an outfielder, Braden, you've probably had a couple of these balls in your time. You take a few steps in, you see the ball slicing farther and farther away from you, it carries too far, and then you realize that you are nowhere close to the ball. It gets over his head, and then he tries to pick up the ball at the wall and cannot figure out how to do that either. It turns into a double with an error. Didn't give him the error on the initial fly ball, but then comes back in the third inning and makes a terrific jump and catch. I can't blame the guy. This actually happened to me. Obviously, not even close to the same structure here, because I'm not an MLB baseball player. But in slow pitch, I was doing the same thing, playing infield most of the time. They throw me in outfield, and I look like I've never touched a baseball in my entire life. I missed the first 3 balls, and I feel like I'm just the worst player alive. So Addison Barger, obviously, it was nice that he got a ball right the next inning so he can get that confidence back up.
Yeah, and you know what? It's sort of interesting, right? When you're in the outfield, you're not sure. Sometimes it looks different, right? Especially when you don't play out there all the time, it's very different. You get a line drive at you in the infield, it's all reactionary. But in the outfield, you need to have that good jump on some of those balls, and sometimes reading it off the bat is the harder part. And for a guy that's not playing out there all the time, that's definitely a tough situation to be put in. Especially, I think you said it, that he got almost no sleep the night before. Was running on probably just pure adrenaline for being called up. So very, very tough situation for the kid, but I'm very happy to see that he's made the jump.
Yeah, with going into that, Addison Barger definitely had an interesting start to his MLB career. So he was informed actually around 11:30 last night that he was going to be called up the Toronto Blue Jays to play the Kansas City Royals. So he had to go to the Bison Stadium, pick up his gear. He got to Kansas City around 6 a.m. and he speculates that he slept for around 20 minutes. Definitely an interesting way to start your first MLB game. I feel like the lack of sleep might make him a little bit more anxious at the plate. Probably wouldn't help with the nerves too much. But again, tough start in the field. At the plate, he had his first 2 at-bats really good. He almost murdered the pitcher, Marsh, in, I think it was the bottom of the 4th. He ended up leaving the game, so hopefully he is all right. But some good at-bats from Barger. And another good thing with Barger playing the outfield, he doesn't have a ton of experience. But if you're going to learn from a guy how to play defense in the outfield, it's pretty nice to have Dalton Varsho right next to you. This guy, again, makes another sliding catch today. It's crazy, actually. He makes so many difficult plays look so easy. The break he gets on the ball, it almost looks like he knows where the ball is going before it even hits the bat. He has that good of a jump. Just absolutely ridiculous from Dalton Varsho. Another great day today. I believe it was 1 for 2 with 2 walks. I'm just going off the top of my head for that one. Just a good day from him. George Springer, I believe that he was 2 for 4 today. I know he had a double and a home run. So that's your ups from the game. I guess the good aspects of the game is that's pretty much it. You had George Springer, good day. Yariel Rodriguez, we'll get into him quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about this start. The velo wasn't there. Clearly, he didn't have his stuff today. Braden, do you have his stat line by chance?
Yeah, I got it here. So he pitched 4 innings, 6 hits allowed, 3 runs, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. So overall, Carter, I mean, you know what? This guy hasn't been in the league very long. I think we got to give him a break on this one. It wasn't a horrible game, but you're right. Obviously, didn't come out with his best stuff. Yeah, at the end of the day, I can't put much stock into a win or a loss or a good outing or a bad outing for him right now because we just haven't seen enough of him yet. And if this continues, then okay, maybe we got to start talking about stuff. But right now, it's his first not great outing. I think we just let this one a bit slide under the rug.
Yeah, and just based off the way he was pitching, his miles per hour were down off the bat. In the first inning, he was averaging like 91.5 miles per hour. It did go up a little bit throughout the game. You can just tell his slider didn't look the same. He was struggling a little bit more throughout the batters, and they were fouling off a ton of pitches, which was another thing you could realize right away that clearly he didn't have this stuff because in the prior two games, he was getting a lot of swings and misses. Like you said before on the podcast, the MLB line swinging a garden hose out there. A lot of swings like that. Not as much of that today. But again, it's not going to matter when you have a Toronto Blue Jays team that just does not want to put up any runs to save anyone's life. We can't buy runs. I swear to God, it is so frustrating to watch this team sometimes. So with Yariel Rodriguez, only his third start of the year, I agree. This first kind of hiccup so far, he was looking good until the fifth inning. That's the fifth inning where he started to really struggle. Obviously got pulled. Henny Cabrera, shout out to him, came in, inherited a runner on first and second, and then actually got out of the bases loaded with no outs. So credit to Henny Cabrera keeping the game close. Just doesn't matter when you're going to put up 2 runs. You get a George Springer home run. That's pretty much it. That's your offense of today.
Well, honestly, like as much as we talk about pitching and how strong this pitch, 3 runs isn't that big of a deal. This should not be where a pitcher allows 3 runs and you think, wow, this game's over already. But that's a little bit where I was at. I was like, wow, we gave up 3 runs, and for some reason, I have no faith that this team is going to score. You have the stat. And how many games have the Blue Jays not scored more than 5 runs?
It is 16 consecutive games where the Toronto Blue Jays have not scored more than 5 runs. It's getting hard to watch this team. We're a run prevention team that it feels like we have to play perfect baseball every single day to even have a chance of winning the game. We'll get into this a little bit more in the next segment, the Vladdy error, obviously, but you have that. This isn't even a problem if the Blue Jays can actually score runs. You're not worried about this if you have more of a room for error. Try anything. You make one mistake and the game's over, it seems like. A team that, again, and then if you're a run prevention team, you're supposed to prevent runs. You can't be throwing it away on defense like we have the last 2 games, 2 impact plays that end up losing us the game, obviously by 1 run. So it's tough to watch some of the defensive struggles, especially when you have an offense that is so lackluster. And it's just been showing time and time again that they're not going to score more than 5 runs in a game.
No, and that's the problem, right? Because you have your not best outing from Yariel Rodriguez, but he only gives up 3 runs, and then the bullpen does its job, and no help from the offense as usual. And Carter, I really do want to get into 2 major things, and that is questionable management again from John Schneider. I feel like we're saying this every few weeks that something happens that just doesn't make sense. And then, of course, the Vladdy error. This has to be addressed. You addressed it on the on I don't know what YouTube reel shorts. There's like whole TikTok shorts, reels, whatever you want to call it. You addressed it on that last night, but I do want to get more in depth on that as well. We're going to do that. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get into all of this coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Policy Genius. Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It saves you time and money so you can provide your family with a financial safety net starting today. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. And, I always talk about this with Policy Genius. It is such a go-to. I mean, with parents getting older, with family members getting older, it's something that you never want to plan for, but you always should have a plan for. So I think that's a big component here. Policy Genius helps you compare your options from their top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help talk you through it. Talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step. Easily compare quotes from America's top insurance in just a few clicks to find the lowest price. Your work life insurance policy may not offer enough protection for your family's needs. Even worse, it may not come with you when you leave your job. Policy Genius gives you an unbiased advice from a licensed expert support team. They have no incentives to recommend one insurer over the other, so you can trust their guidance. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonmlb or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonmlb. So I realized I hit that opening a little bit soon, but it's all good because this episode is also brought to you by Monopoly Go. I'm told I'm a very competitive person. Carter knows that all too well. And Monopoly Go is the best place to do that because I love climbing the leaderboards and trying to beat my friends. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you can play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part is messing with my friends. As I said, Carter and a bunch of the other Locked On hosts. We all play against each other. It's a lot of fun. I can charge them rent on iconic properties just like classic Monopoly. But now I can also heist their vaults of riches for myself, and the leaderboards show me who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with your friends and people all around the world in time tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get in on the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store and Google Play.
Well, this is the start of segment 2. The start of segment 1, I guess you could say that was the positive part of the podcast because this is going to be all negative and a huge rant because we have a ton of stuff to talk about in this situation. So obviously, I said that I had an exam, obviously, during the Tuesday game. And of course, when me and Braden are not ready to recap a game, something huge happens. So the first thing I do, I look at my phone, obviously, after my exam. Pretty confident, feeling good. I'm like, okay, let's see if the Jays are winning. They're losing. I'm like, okay, whatever. This sucks, but let's see what happened here. I look into this, and we see a little Vladimir Guerrero error. I'm like, okay, this kind of typical, honestly, but we'll see how this goes. Like, it can't be that bad. It might be the worst play I've ever seen in my life. So, and this initially, like I've been saying on this podcast for a long time, we're a run prevention team. And you can't tell me we're not a run prevention team when in the first inning today, we had our infield in the first inning. We're so scared to give up one run, we had the infield in right away. So we're definitely a run prevention team. You get a ground ball, Kevin Gausman, struggling a little bit in this inning, gets a ground ball that was going to get out of the inning, a ground ball IKF. Vladdy just whiffs on a catch. Just absolutely whiffs. Not even a glove on the ball. Ends up getting a run in. Bobby Witt comes up later on the inning. Double, that's 3 runs. That is the ball game. I don't know if I've ever been so mad at a player in my life. Like I wasn't gonna say anything. I wasn't gonna respond to it, but then I saw how bad the error was, and I actually couldn't believe my eyes. Braden, what was your first reaction after seeing that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. error?
Well, as everybody knows, I talked about it. Winnipeg Jets are in the playoffs. We had the big whiteout party that night, and of course I was working, so I had 30 minutes in between getting home from work, going to this. I was doing some stuff there. I get home, a couple beers in, we'll say, maybe 1 or 2. And I go to talk to Carter, throw it a pizza. I go to talk to Carter. I'm like, hey, give me the rundown. What happened? I saw you made a post. He goes, yep. He goes, here's the video. And I see this, and I, honest to God, believe. And Carter, I swear, a baby standing out there could have taken that ball off the head and made the catch before Vlad was going to make that one. His footing on that, where that play should have been, where the ball was, it was not in the realm. He was stepping like he was getting a throw from second base, and you see that ball is offline. All he has to do is instead, I think he stepped too early, and it put himself out of position. All he's got to do is wait back on that ball until you know where that ball is going. But instead, that's first baseman 101. Like, what are we doing here? I remember there was one year I made the transition when I was a kid. I was a first baseman. Terrible idea. You put your smallest, skinniest guy on first baseman, not a good idea. So then I've had to make the transition out. But I remember the one thing that they always drilled in our head was don't take that step too early. React to the ball. That's literally 8 years old, 7 years old. They're telling you this. What are we doing here? This was just a disaster. This is one of the worst errors I think I've ever seen. It's just not catching a baseball. That's it. There's no I saw somebody respond to your tweet or whatever you put out saying, well, I would have liked to see you make that play. I could have made that play blindfolded, I think. Somebody could have shot me in both eyes and I would have made that play.
I was going to say, I might have to make a video now of me just catching a ball in the air, I guess. I don't know if that's impressive now all of a sudden. But, yeah, it's It's tough because like I feel like a lot of people like I've seen on Twitter and a few of our comments as well saying like, oh, it's just one error, like it happens. Not like this though. Like this doesn't happen.
No.
You can't not catch a baseball. And like the difference is Addison Barger, he had an error, obviously same thing, cost the Jays the game in a different stance, obviously. But
Yeah.
this is a hard ball to catch. Like this is not an easy ball, especially for a guy that doesn't play left field.
Yeah.
Vladdy has been playing first base for 2.5 years now. He's playing third base for his entire baseball career before that. He's been catching, he's playing the hot corner before that. You should be able to catch a ball in the air. Yes, it's not a perfect throw, but the footwork, like you said, it's like he was extending to get a ball from second base when that just wasn't the case. IKF was at least 10 feet, probably more, closer to home plate. And just the angle he took to get that ball was ridiculously bad. So it's tough that it's this Vladdy, and people say we give Vladdy a very hard time, and everyone gives Vladdy a hard time, but nobody makes an error like this in such a huge spot of the game. And it's tough that the offense is not helping us out at all. Again,
No.
this probably gets washed a little bit more under the rug if this isn't an impactful play in the game and our offense actually scores runs. But when you're such a lackluster offense and a run prevention team, you have to prevent runs. You can't be giving players and teams free passes like that. It's just never going to work out.
No, and you know what? It'd be different too if Vladdy's hitting a bunch of home runs or he's having a really good average, but he's not doing that. So when you're relying on a player for their defense and they're not playing good defense either, it's hard not to be upset. It's hard not to say what our thoughts are. We always try to drill this down: is that we're not covering this team. We're not analysts or whatever. We're fans. That's why we come to these games. We talk about what we think with other fans. I think that's the best part of this podcast. And I don't think it's crazy for us to be upset about this. And some people online are saying that, yeah, like you said, everybody's giving Vlad a hard time. This is just a ridiculous response to everybody being upset. Because if you're a baseball fan, if you watch baseball at all, there should be no reason that you're not upset by that play. If you played an ounce of baseball in your life, you know that cannot happen. If I'm playing slow pitch and we got, somebody at first base and I throw a dot, which won't happen, but and they don't make the catch at their, chest height. Yeah, it might be a little bit off, but chest height, like you got to make that play. I don't know how many times I need to stress this, but for people being upset online about backing Vladdy here, like step off.
Yeah, another thing that got alluded to me today, actually, shout out Smitty for giving me this one. Blue Jays legend Paul DeYoung, if he was on the team this year, he would be tied for second in home runs on this baseball team. You know how bad Paul DeYoung was for the Blue Jays? It's not that much better. And he still has 3 home runs. And he's tied with Vladdy, he's tied with Davis, he's tied with Springer. He has more than Justin Turner, he has more than Bo. The only one that has more than Paul DeYoung on this team is Dalton Varsho. So like, how can times get worse? It seems like for this offense, we are still winning games with our unbelievable pitching staff, but something's got to give with these top 3. Something's got to give with the whole lineup. Offensively, defensively, apparently is a problem now. This team, I'm in shambles right now. I'm pretty low on the Blue Jays totem pole right now, but I think that's just how the last 2 games have ended. I think
absolutely. You know what? I got one thing to ask you here, because I saw this online, and you know what it made me think. At this point, are we starting to think that 2021 season was the outlier for Vlad? Is this going to be Vlad for the rest? I'm honestly, I saw this take on something, Instagram Reels or something maybe, and I'm debating it. That might have been the outlier season. I hate to say that.
You know what? I was debating on bringing this up for this episode too, but it is early on. I don't want to be that guy where it is 25 games in, but if you're not having those thoughts about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I think you're genuinely crazy, because this is 2.5 years now. You could argue a little bit for 2022. There was some brighter spots there, but 2023 and the start of this year have not been good for Vladdy. Maybe Vladdy's just not the player that everyone's made him out to be, but this is a huge conversation, obviously.
Yeah.
We are 20-some games into the season, so that's why I didn't want to bring it up yet. But definitely on my mind, to say the least, as I didn't have it on my sheet to bring up in this episode, but I ended up at the end of it wasn't going to do this. But definitely a conversation to have, which is a terrible situation to be in when you're only like not even a quarter of the way into the season. But saying that, we still have a ton of other stuff to talk about. Do you want to talk about this now, or do you want to send to segment 3, the Vogie stuff?
No, let's talk about this now. because I want to save segment 3 as a little bit of, as you guys can see on the side, I want to leave that some time for Alek Manoah, and I want to leave some time for, of course, tomorrow's game, or today's game, I should say.
Before we do this, I think I'm gonna forget this time because I'm gonna get mad in this rant I'm about to go in. So just want to throw it over to our Locked On 24/7 streaming channel. Obviously, MLB play or not playoffs, MLB regular season is going on. The NHL playoffs is going on. I was watching that before this podcast, probably why it's on my mind. I'm not sure what's going on in that Dallas Vegas game, but it's gritty, man. There's a lot of good series in the NHL playoffs right now. It's a perfect opportunity to head over to our Locked On 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. It's also on the Amazon TV Fires channel app. So you can go either one of those places at any time you want to digest your sports content. Braden, I'll give it to you to start off with some more managerial decisions that we have to talk about here.
Okay. So we're down at this point in the ball game. We got runners on, right? Daniel Vogelback comes up to the plate against a lefty. Carter, I'm going to give you a scenario here, okay?
Yeah, wait, can I? Yeah, you know what? Give me the scenario and I'll give you a stat after that.
Okay, cool. Okay. So you have one of the best players that hit for average against left-handed pitchers sitting on your bench, or Daniel the Burgers Vogelback, who has struggled, and we need some runs. What do you do in this situation? Do you say, hey, let's not let the Burger hit, and let's bring out one of the best for average players against left-handed pitching? This might be a crazy thought here, Carter, but I might go and get the man, Justin Turner, off the bench and put a bat in his hand and pray to God, because he will get the job done, as we've seen later in the ball game.
Yeah, no, I'm going to tell you exactly why you should go with Vogie actually in this situation over Justin Turner. So Justin Turner this year, he's only 8 for 13 against left-handers with a home run and 7 RBI. So that's an average of 727. It's not very good. It's probably not going to get hit in that situation. So there's no point of throwing him in. But then there's the argument. It is Justin Turner's rest day. It's the top of the 6th inning. I guess it's a little bit too early to throw him in. But yeah, you don't have Davis Schneider on the bench that could also hit in this situation. Masters left-handed pitching last season. Pretty small sample size this season, so not a lot to go off of. He's 2 for 16. Not great, but it's going to be better than Daniel Vogelback. Or you can go with Daniel Vogelback, a lefty, that does not have a hit against a left-handed pitcher in the majors since September 10th of 2022. Yeah, it's time. No, I feel like you're right, John Schneider. I have a feeling about this guy too. He's due, obviously. Doesn't have a homer or doesn't have a hit in a year and a half. He's due. So that's why I went with Daniel Vogelback. Fortunately, didn't get the job done. But I think, yeah, everyone in the right mind obviously would have made the same decision. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
I'm actually speechless. I'm speechless. I didn't know what to say. I just didn't understand it. They literally showed a graphic about the guy sitting on our bench, like the inning before this. We need runs. We are a team that cannot produce runs. We have 2 runners on that are ready to score, that could have changed the direction of this baseball game. Nope. Keep Vogie. It's fine. That's a great call, John. Great call. Round of applause. John Schneider, ladies and gentlemen.
It's actually just laughable. Like, it just the two just complete opposite ends of the spectrum you have in this situation. You have Daniel Vogelback, who literally cannot hit left-handed pitching. He just can't do it. He's shown that for the previous years that he just can't. He can't hit left-handed pitching. And then you have Justin Turner, who might be like the kryptonite of left-handed pitching on this bench. And he is ready, waiting there. You brought this guy in to hit with runners in scoring position, and you just don't do it. I like, there's no reason there for you not to put Justin Turner in that situation. And time and time again, these decisions cost the Toronto Blue Jays games. And these are the reasons why 3 games could matter for a division spot. 3 games could matter for a playoff spot, as we saw in 2021. It's so frustrating to watch this team have opportunities to win games and just throw it away by dumb decisions and dumb moves.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head again. It's just these games, as much as people want to say these games don't matter, every game matters. It's our division's too good for these games not to matter. It's frustrating. I know maybe they threw out the whole going by analytics stuff because of how much crap we gave them last year. But
I was gonna say Vogie did have 2 hits where he did hit fly balls in the gaps and they almost got down. He hit them pretty well. So I guess if you want to play with the eye test, you could say that Bogey was having okay at bats.
Yeah.
But as soon as that left-hander comes in, you got to take him out. I don't get it. For such an analytic-based team, showed you time and time again, they love the analytics. They're just not doing it in a situation that clearly calls for the right analytic move.
Well, and we've seen Davis Schneider bats in big situations and he does well. Like when runners are on for Davis Schneider, he does well. And so whatever, you don't want to go with Justin Turner, who would be the obvious option. I don't care if it's a rest day. Your team wants to get a win. You can go in for an at bat, right? I mean, this is just crazy. I don't know, Carter. I don't know how many times we can continually have the same conversations about this guy before I think time sort of catches up with him here. I hate to say it, but I mean, if the Jays can't secure a playoff spot, I can't see this team. And I don't mean to look forward this close to the beginning of the season. But at this point, I'm just seeing all the wrong moves being made all the time. If it's not playing Varsho on a day where you think, wow, this guy's on a hot streak, continue to play him, or hey, we got to give Davis way more playing time than he's gotten, or maybe we should throw Justin Turner in against a lefty in a big situation. Um, there's so many wrong moves, and I think that there would be other managers out there that would make the right call, because I don't think they're out of left field, these calls that we're crazy thinking about. I think these are basic, bland. This is what you should do. No questions asked.
Well, when you have like the entire fan base agreeing with each other, like the Toronto Blue Jays fan base usually likes to be pretty violent with each other and argue and get in pretty heated debates. When you have a pretty concise like consensus between all Blue Jays fans that this is what should have happened, like it happened with the same thing last year with Jose Berrios.
Yeah.
It blows my mind how it seems like they don't even watch the games. It looks like they're getting some like 9-year-old kid to just draw a name out of a hat and be like, yeah, this guy, this is what we're doing. This decision we're making. Doesn't seem like there's any thought behind it whatsoever in any of the scenarios. So I would like to say that we're going to get into some more positive talks, but no, we're going to get into Alek Manoah next segment. That's just its own situation. We'll get into that. And then Cole Reagans and Jose Berrios, that pitching matchup coming up. Today's episode is also sponsored by PrizePicks. Spring training is over and baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond to your PrizePicks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more than or less than and add them to your PrizePicks entries today. PrizePicks is very simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in as little of time of 60 seconds. Yesterday, I was sweating out one of the picks I had. I had Matt Olson more than 0.5 runs and Ronald Acuna more than 1.5 runs. And obviously, Michael Harris in the 10th inning gets an RBI single driving in Ronald Acuna for that 2-run mark. So I did hit that. But unfortunately, I had Matt Olson having a home run. That's why I thought that Acuna and Olson would get the runs. Didn't end up getting that home run, so didn't end up hitting on that. But I got the 2 out of 3. So if you guys think you could do better than me, you can download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100.
Some more sad news, I guess. Today's a great episode, Carter. We really picked some good segments today. Holy moly. We have to bring this guy. I thought didn't I say I didn't want to talk about this guy like ever again?
Yeah, I mean, I was not expecting a whole lot more from Alek Manoah. Like, I didn't expect him to go out and pitch 6 innings scoreless. Didn't necessarily expect this either. I mean, maybe I should start expecting this bad of a stat line more often, but there's no linear line with Alek Manoah. So Alek Manoah makes another start. Does not go well, to say the least. 3 innings pitched, 7 hits, 6 earned runs, 4 walks, 5 Ks, 2 home runs on 88 pitches. He's walking guys again. He's giving up runs. It's the same thing we've been talking about from time and time again. He's so far away from being back. I'm almost at the point with you are where I don't even want to talk about Alek Manoah anymore because, well, I mean, this is actually probably the best time to get it out because we're already on such a rant about this Toronto Blue Jays team. I thought today was going to be a good day too. We got the news of Addison Barger getting called up. I was pretty fired up for that. And then just a bunch of shots straight to the gut, it seems like today. But Alek Manoah, probably not going to be near this team anytime soon, unfortunately for us. Maybe fortunately for us. I don't know if we want Alek Manoah near this team.
You
But
know
I guess
what? Screw it. Let's bring him up. I'll place some bets on the over walks. Maybe win some money. Let's bring him up. Let's do it. We can't get worse, right?
I mean, we could get like real crazy and do like a baseball version of Bounty Gate and just have Alek Manoah pitch all the time and injure a bunch of opposing teams' players. That like it wouldn't have to be intentional either. Alek Manoah wouldn't even try. We just accidentally hit a bunch of people, so it'd be fine. I feel like. But anyways, I think we'll move on to the final game of this series. Unfortunately, the best case scenario now is a split against the Royals. They do have a good pitching staff. This order, I mean, just not great. But I mean, this team looks sort of similar to the Toronto Blue Jays, which I hate to say because it's the Kansas City Royals and they don't have a lot of good players. But yeah, not great. But what a pitching matchup we are in line for tomorrow with Jose Berrios and Cole Reagans. Cole Reagans being a lefty. I'm assuming we'll have Ernie Clemente. Maybe we see Addison Barger again. Maybe we see David Schneider. Kevin Kiermaier obviously not going to be in the lineup. Kevin Biggio probably takes a seat for this one. So interesting lineup. We need this game, and what a pitcher to have on the mound with Jose Berrios. I had a prediction of a split in the series, but that was like this is like the bare minimum. Like we need to split the series at minimum. I wanted a 3-1. Didn't end up happening, but you're not gonna win games without scoring runs. And Cole Reagans, one of the best pitchers on this Royal staff. It's going to be tough to come by. Hopefully, we can kind of chase him out of the game early and get to this Royals bullpen. But the Royals bullpen is nothing to scoff at either. So, Braden, what do you want to see in tomorrow's game to hopefully change the Blue Jays' fate and hopefully get a win to end this series?
Well, I hate to say it, but as everybody should know when betting on Blue Jays games, take the under. Everybody, take the under. Jose Berrios, 1.05 ERA. Cole Reagans, 1.93 ERA. If I was a betting man, I would say at this point, I'm betting like 2 or less runs from the Blue Jays, and you crush those bets tomorrow because I'm at about at the point here, seeing the last few games, this is not looking good for the Toronto Blue Jays. And I hate to say that because I was with you. I honestly was hoping for a 3-1, but 2-2 I'd take. I'm not confident. The only person in this team going into today, I guess it would be Jose Berrios. And we need him to bring us to the promised land here. He is our only hope. That's a Star Wars reference, Carter. No, you're not a fan. That's a Star Wars reference.
No, the way these last two games have went, Jose Berrios is going to throw a no-hitter tomorrow, and we're going to lose because Vladdy makes an error in the 9th inning. That's just how it's going to be. Something weird's going to happen. Hopefully not. Maybe are we overreacting? Maybe a little bit. It depends on what aspect you're talking about. Are we overreacting about John Schneider's calls? I don't think so. Are we overreacting about this team in general? Probably a little bit here. But I mean, that's what Toronto Blue Jays fans do. We live and die with this team. When you put a horrible product on the field, I mean, how is it? It's tough to be happy about the situation. But the MLB does have a 162 game schedule for a reason. But I mean, it's kind of nice to get some of the anger out of you and just rant and just have some space to talk about Blue Jays baseball.
Isn't that the best part about this? It's like, I could go to work and I could yell and scream at coworkers about how bad the Toronto Blue Jays are, or I can come on here and talk about it with all the other Toronto Blue Jays fans that are probably feeling the exact same way as I am. And maybe you're not. And if you're not, leave us a comment, tell us we're idiots and we don't know anything because we get those anyway. So bring it on. But saying that, #1 Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Let's go, baby. Keep that rolling.
Yeah, so leave in the comment section on a scale of 1 to 10 how much you wanted to cry after watching these last two games. But I just want to say thank you guys for watching. We always appreciate the likes, comments, support, all the debates we engage in. Before we do head out, I want to throw it over to our Locked On 24/7 streaming channel. You can either check it out our content on that channel or the Amazon TV Fires app 24/7. All of the pro expert content from any sport pretty much you want to see, college sports, MLB, NHL, you name it, it will be over there. Braden, you got anything else to add for this episode? Anything positive, maybe something? Did you eat something good today? Maybe
positive.
I had a good sleep last night. Like that's cool, I guess.
Oh, I didn't feel great. I think I ate that pizza way too late last night, and then that with beers and a burger and a wrap.
Yeah, your wallet took a hit last night as well. So interesting night for you. And then unfortunately, a Jets loss, Canucks loss, Jays loss.
I'm at an
Not
all-time
great.
low.
Not great. Yeah. It can only get better from here, right? It can only get better.
Who's that guy? John Bevlian or whatever his name is, the all-time low guy, the song? You know what I'm talking about?
I feel like it, but like not if I saw it, I know what you're
You know
talking
it.
about.
It's a song, whatever. That song pretty much sums it up with me right now. You know what, Carter? Tomorrow, I need a Blue Jays win, and then I can ride that into a Jets Canucks win the next day. Because yeah, Toronto Blue Jays fans, we might be going through a rough ride right now, but we'll come back. They'll figure it out. Oh, here we go. One positive. Didn't have to see Alek Manoah pitch today.
So there you go. Positive. I had my exam during that Vladdy error game, so I didn't have to waste 2.5 hours of my time watching that, and I got at least something sort of productive done. Anyways, we're just kind of yapping at this point.
Yeah, we're
Thank
just
you guys for watching. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
See ya.